Hey everyone, this is Andy with the Coffee with a Geek program. I have, as always, a really awesome guest with me. I have Alice Keeler, and Alice taught math for 14 years. Awesome. It goes by fast, doesn't it?
It does.
Those. And you're presently doing technology integration at Cal State Fresno.
Mhm.
You are a Google certified teacher, a Microsoft Innovative Educator, a New Media Consortium K-12 ambassador. You have co-authored a book called 50 Things You Can Do with Google Classroom. You're the founder of Coffee EDU, which we'll talk about, and you're working on your doctorate in edtech with an emphasis on games and simulations. So lots of fun stuff to talk about. I don't know if we can fit it all in, but thank you, Alice, for joining me. I really appreciate it. I was introduced to your work through Twitter. A friend of mine is a big Twitter fan, and she said, you have to follow Alice Keeler. She's doing all kinds of really cool stuff and posting all kinds of ed tech stuff, which is right up my alley. So tell me about Twitter. Tell me about whether you think Twitter is, what are your thoughts on it as a professional development tool, as a social network?
Okay.
Give us your thoughts.
Sure. So I'll start by saying I'm mildly considering changing my job title to Twitter. I might be on there a little bit too much, but it is hands down the best thing I do for myself as an educator. It allows me to interact with other innovative educators and see what people globally are doing. And so a lot of times, this will feeds into kind of my story with Coffee EDU later, but a lot of times when you interact with teachers from where you're at, they're getting the same PD and the same ideas that you're getting, right? And so how do you figure out what's really new and something that's innovative? And if you really think about it, on any particular campus, you have one real go-getter, somebody who's really into technology and doing some really cool stuff. So how do you get all those people together? They're doing really nifty things. And for me, that answer is Twitter. So I have some rules. Number one, I don't use Twitter like Facebook, and I don't follow people who do. Facebook is for my friends. If you want to post pictures of bacon and your dog, Facebook's your place to do it. I'd love to be friends with you on Facebook, but please do not do that on Twitter, because I'm using Twitter not to make friends. I'm doing it to make myself a better teacher. So I'm only going to follow people who are interacting with me, that are sharing ideas, that when I ask for help, they're the kind of people who respond like, hey, here's a free lesson plan, or here's an idea, or I've been there. We all just need some moral support sometimes, but I'm really looking to connect professionally. So my rules are, I don't use it like Facebook. I don't follow people who do. No pictures of food. And to keep it on, more or less to keep it on topic. People follow you for a reason. And so, I'm following educators who are really passionate and share, and will help you when you need some help. So just be judicious about who you're following. If you want to get on Twitter, don't be afraid to unfollow. Like, your tacos are nice. Bye-bye. It's just, our job is so hard, and we don't have extra time to cram into our day to be checking social networks necessarily. So when I go to Twitter, I'm not even going to scroll for that long. I'm going to scroll a little bit and see what nuggets I can glean out of there that's going to make me a better teacher. So I don't want to have to filter through. I want my Twitter stream to just be things that it's professional development. It's helping me to be better. So don't feel bad about not following your friends. And don't feel bad about unfollowing somebody. It's finding those educators that are, and I would even say be selective. You can't learn from the whole world, then it just becomes a waterfall. So, just finding that group of people that really come around and support you. And I think that it'll energize you every day to want to teach. Like, I got a new idea, let's do it.
I like that idea, and I do pretty much the same thing with Facebook and Twitter. Twitter's my professional development side, and Facebook's more my personal side. What about the other kind of social network that's out there, Google Plus? Do you find that's a mixture of both?
I don't really, you know what? I love Google Plus communities. Like, I love Google Plus communities. I don't really use Google Plus so much itself. What I love about Twitter is it's 140 characters and it forces you to be clever. I do look a little bit through Google Plus, but I don't use that primarily as a professional development tool for myself. I read a lot of blogs. I interact with people, again, through Twitter and see what they're saying, and then I'll link to the stuff that they have posted on their blogs or other places that they've done it. I know other educators who really into Google Plus. My thing is, you know, if you can write a book, you're asking for trouble. You know, you're halfway through before you realize, like, this isn't really that helpful.
Good point. I do like your thought about how Twitter really kind of condenses you and forces you to be a little more creative and succinct.
I just want to get the idea and like, oh, I need to know more about that, and then click on the link. Yeah, you know, that's my idea on that one.
Speaking of books, you have a book that you've co-authored, 50 Things You Can Do with Google Classroom. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I co-authored this book with the super amazing Libby Miller. I am just in awe of her all the time. So she's definitely one of those educators that I learn from. When I watch her teach, I feel like she inspires me to be a better person. And so I thank her for that and for her contribution to the book. So back in September, it's kind of a funny story. Someone had sent me an email asking, say, hey, Alice, you know, you're kind of a leader in this field, and would you share with our readers, I guess they have an online website, some things you can do with Google Classroom for the fall. And I was going to delete it. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. And I showed it to my friend, and he's like, no, I think you should do it. So I'm like, all right. So just off the top of my head, I just brainstormed a list of like 19 things. And I looked at it and I'm like, that's pretty good. I'm going to just put that on my own blog. So I added an extra one so that I had 20. And that blog post just blew up. I have 72,000 hits on that blog post since September. So I just got a lot of attention on that. And so then I followed that up with a blog post of 15 additional things. And then I did one more, was 10 more things, although it's actually 11 because I can't count apparently. So I started to like condense it all together into a list, and I was going to add a few more and make it 50. And I thought I should write a book out of this because, you know, with a list of 50, you're only getting a sentence of what each of those are. So you're not getting screenshots, you're not getting an explanation. So I co-teach with Libby at Fresno State. And again, she's just a fantastic educator who I talk with on a regular basis, and we brainstorm and do things together. So I said, hey, you want to help me put this together? Let's do it. And she's rock on. Let's do it. So we contacted Dave Burgess, who wrote Teach Like a Pirate. And so, and hands down, just a little plug for his book. We use that as required reading. We teach pre-service teachers. So that's one of our required texts. And that is like the best decision we've ever made, was to have the kids read that book. The kids, they're adults.
I've got the book on my back table there. So
yeah, exactly. It's such a great book. So he's a publisher, and I contacted him like, hey, you know, I got this blog that's really popular. What do you think we make a book out of it? And he's like, let's do it. So we started that back in, I think, January, and it just hit Amazon last week ago, Friday. And it's just, they can't keep it in stock. It's constantly selling out. It's a #1 bestseller in computers and technology education category. And it's just been so fun to connect with people and talk about Google Classroom, because by Google Classroom itself, I hate it when people call it an LMS. It's not an LMS. In fact, most of what we call an LMS is not an LMS, but I digress. It's Google Drive Management, and it just really makes things easier for you to connect with kids in a variety of ways. So even if you're already using Schoology or Edmodo or something like that, Google Classroom, if you're using Google Docs, you want to be using Google Classroom. And so I'm really happy to help teachers see some innovative ways that they can use this tool to really connect with kids, and more so, change what they're doing. You know, move a little bit past the substitution level and think, how does technology allow me to build better relationships with students? How does it allow students to be more independent? And I think Google Classroom really has a foothold in transforming the way we can teach.
You know, your thought stream really kind of made me think about something that I came across when I was doing some Google Classroom training. And if you look at what Google is doing with Classroom, even, you know, Office 365 does these things, and I think even iTunes U, they're not so much a learning management system like you had said, but really more of a workflow. Do you think that's the kind of wave of educational technology?
So are you, I don't know if you're a fan of Caitlin Tucker. See if I have her book here. I get it in bulk, and I give this away all the time. Blended Learning in grades 4 through 12 by Caitlin Tucker. And so what she advocates for is not having a learning management system, but having a digital toolbox. Because, you know, in a one-size-fits-all environment, like I'm in Edmodo, I'm in Schoology, and I use all of their tools, it's hard to do everything well. You know, what is this? Jack of all trades, master of none. There's so many great products out there that you know, why not use what it does best? You know, this is what I'm saying about Google Classroom. Use it for what it does best. You're doing Google Docs and interacting digitally. That's what Google Classroom does best. Use that. If you've got a discussion board that you like, use that tool and link it into Google Classroom. So that's really the advantage, I think, in looking at these different tools, is that they're not trying to be everything, is they're trying to do something well. And so find what works well, and then you piece them together to make a cohesive environment.
Well, I think too, it pulls together. Sorry, my lights always go off on a timer. So it goes into with, I think, the whole concept of where we are with technology is you have a lot of different developers able to contribute to one product. So again, I think Google Classroom, iTunes U, and
Hey, sorry, Grandma's supposed to keep him downstairs. I told her to.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, buddy. Thanks for coming. Grandma. No.
Okay, so let's talk about Coffee EDU.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I am a Google certified teacher, and as part of the Google certified teacher program, you're supposed to have a project. And so I went to Ed Camp several years ago, and you know, it just kind of blew my mind because I'm sitting in a session and they're not talking about technology. And I'm like, someone's gonna get in trouble. And then I thought, wait a minute, Ed Camp, not Ed Tech Camp. Ed Camp. Oh, we could just talk about education. We could talk about things other than tech. Hey, shh. We can talk about things other than technology, and just the whole Ed Camp model itself just kind of blew my mind. So for my project, buddy, you're making this hard for me. So I'm really passionate about educators connecting and getting together, and there's nothing harder than getting a teacher out of their classroom. So I came up with the idea of Coffee EDU, which is a 1 hour get together, unconference style. So anyone can put one on. Where's my mother-in-law? Anyone can put one on. They just have to pick a time, date, and location. And you know, you don't pick the topic in advance. You know, worst case scenario, you're hanging out at Starbucks having coffee. So don't worry about if someone's going to come, you know, if anyone shows up, you know, if someone's having a competing one across the street. It's supposed to be quick and easy. And it's just an excuse to get together with teachers and talk about whatever you want. So that's been really successful. I'm really strict about it being 1 hour. I will cut you off in the middle of a sentence because the conversation's always really good and you want to keep going. But if the next time I invite you to Coffee EDU, you're putting on like, well, I could do an hour, but it might go over, then they hesitate and they don't come. So 1 hour is a really strict rule that I like to stick to.
That's a great concept. And I think the challenge for me in my area is we're so spread out. Our schools are so spread out, but we do have a college locally. So we did one at a conference, and then we're going to also do one at our local college to see if we can get faculty and students and a variety of people. So I just like the idea, and I like the idea of just having the conversation.
It's amazing what teachers will talk about when there's no agenda. One time we talked about WASC accreditation, Western School Accreditation. Don't ask me what the A stands for, or that one probably stands for accreditation. But anyway. Bye.
That's okay. That's great. Absolutely.
So, okay, I'm sorry. So I am at Boise State getting my doctorate in games and simulation, although in ed tech with an emphasis in games and simulation, although I consider myself more an expert in gamification.
Okay.
So big difference is playing games versus learning from games and how you can apply gaming mechanics to better motivate students. So, but I am a big fan of game-based learning. I'm really into how can we get Minecraft into our schools? You ever talk to a kid about Minecraft?
Oh, yes.
See, I love that tone. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Like, Minecraft to a kid, prepare to get mobbed. And so you really want to see how you can excite kids and you see how excited they get about it. How do you not want to include that in your class? Like, how can I capitalize on this? So I went down to my son's school the other day. They have a Minecraft club after school, and the teacher just lets them explore and do whatever. It's not an academic endeavor, although it certainly could be. And the kids were just, they're just so engaged in it and so excited to collaborate and work together. My son is painfully shy. He doesn't talk to anybody, but in this Minecraft environment, he's, you over there, come see this. And he just starts, he's running around the room. And my son's 9, by the way. And he's a leader in that room. Whereas normally he is just, don't talk to me. I can't go to the library because I'd have to talk to the librarian. Just to see how games can really capture kids. But I was interviewing the students for a video project that I'm doing. And I'm like, so if you were to tell a teacher, what is Minecraft? And they're like, it's a digital environment where there are no rules and you can do whatever you want. This might not be the best marketing line. But, kid after kid told me that almost that exact same line. I get to do whatever I want. I can be creative. I can build things. Kids want to create. They want to have some choices. And so I think that's some of the things that we learn from games and that how can we put more of that in schools to allow kids to be creative instead of bubbling in multiple choice. So all of these things are things I'm really passionate about and would like to see how school can be more makerspace, more creative, more critical thinkers, and how games can be a part of that.
Well, I think you bring up a really, a powerful point in that SAMR model and the redefinition of assessment and creation and I can't think of even any more words, but redefinition of our traditional classrooms and just breaking that mold. And I totally agree with you. And again, Minecraft, I think, has been a game changer in a way because I think it's enlightened parents to what the potential of games and building and creating can do. We're using a program called OpenSim, which is a similar type of environment, a little more realistic type builds. But it really is. And it's an explosion of seeing kids create and build. And I think really our challenge is to try and first let them go crazy with their builds, but then bring it back to, what is function, what is art when it comes to architecture and that sort of thing. And you have just the great conversation after the fact. But again, the look on kids' faces when they interact with Minecraft or any type of virtual environment shows the engagement possibilities. So
I'm going to try and do a research study, since I am a doctoral student. That's not what I'm doing for my dissertation. But so Lucas Gillespie, he made a quest list of some different challenges you can do in Minecraft. Build a house, do a crafting table, stuff like that. Just Minecraft quests. And so when I saw that he shared that with me, I'm like, that needs to be a spreadsheet because everything should be a spreadsheet. So I have this in a spreadsheet. So my question is, what if we were to just start throwing on to their academic quests that they could do in Minecraft? Could they represent this mathematically? Could they demonstrate this science concept? Could they create things that would require them to read a book and recreate the scenery in the book? Would they do work outside of class in order to be able to do it in Minecraft? Would they do research? Because this particular thing is an after-school club. They get no points, no badges, no credit. And so I think kids would voluntarily be just wanting to do things academic because they could do it in Minecraft. So I think that'll be a really interesting study to do in the fall.
Well, I think one of the other things that I'm really curious about, and I know Minecraft has kind of blocky avatars, but I know that there's ways you can customize those avatars. But I also think, when I see, the open sim environments, just how kids react with avatars and how they represent themselves, I think is also another really ripe area for research. And
there's some great research on that already. I took a class at Boise State with Chris Haskell on virtual worlds, teaching virtual world.
3D game lab, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So there's so many really interesting things that come about when you're using an avatar in a virtual space, and how people react and interact responding to those. One of the videos that Dr. Haskell had shared was how people respond to seeing their avatar getting heavier and skinnier, and how that caused them to want to go exercise because of their avatar. Just there's some professors just doing some fascinating research on avatars. I wish I could share more on those, but.
Well, that's something to look into. So Chris Haskell's been kind of spearheading some of that.
Well, as you know, he and Lisa Dolly are responsible for 3D Game Lab, which is a learning management system that's quest based. So taking game-based elements and putting it into a grade book and assignments and things like that. They call them quests. But he teaches several classes around virtual worlds, including Minecraft and Second Life. I don't know that he's in particular doing that research, but he's definitely active in sharing it.
So with that in mind, I mean, talking about using Minecraft games and simulations, I know there's a kind of out there ideas, and I know that from being in the trenches, people kind of, their eyes glass over when you talk about this stuff. And it taps into one of your blog posts that I had just come across about doing things differently. Where are we as far as doing things differently? What are the challenges we face? What are some of the hurdles? How can we get over some of the hurdles of breaking the barriers of using Minecraft on a bigger scale in schools?
That is a great question. The first, I think, hurdle that we have to overcome is that our new teachers coming in have been under Nickelby, No Child Left Behind. And they have not been asked to be creative in school. And so we're now asking them, if you just want to talk about Common Core and using technology, forget even just games, we're asking them to teach lessons that have never been modeled to them. For them to think, how do they think outside of the box? How are you to be creative? When that's not been our culture in our schools for over a decade, right? So there's one problem. And so then you have to overcome, just in terms of games, you have to overcome this stigma that games are not learning, which is completely untrue. I had my son at the iPad. He's 1 year old, and he's able to figure out and do these. He's learning how to interact in an environment and use intuition and inductive logic to figure out how to use this device. But if you look at most toddler apps, most children's apps, they're games. So for whatever reason, we think that little children learn best through games and through play and through song. Like, we know that. So at what point do we say, like, fun is not learning anymore and learning is serious business? So how do we overcome just that stigma that we shouldn't play games to learn, even though that's the way we have our children learn, our little ones? How do you get a good game? I think that's what you need is to really kind of win people over. Most educational games are not that good. I think we all remember playing Oregon Trail and Math Blaster and Carmen Sandiego. So we have some fond feelings about games in the classroom that are educational. But if I was a teacher, just be like, okay, I want to do games. What's really available for me that I know about, that's proven, that will work on the devices that I have, if I even have any? I think the curve, the point of entry is too steep. If I were like, okay, I'm going to start using Minecraft, how do you use that for education? I've never seen anybody use that. I don't know how to use it. I know my kids are really excited about it, but how do I build a quality lesson that achieves the learning objectives in Minecraft? I don't know that that's accessible for most people. And there's some of us who will spend hours and hours trying to figure it out, but I think that's unreasonable to expect of the average person. So I think what we need to have is someone that writes lesson plans and says, you know, here's your first step. You want to do something? Step one, do this, and give them something that I could do that. And it's a low point of entry. We need those to remove some of the barriers to entry. You don't think you have to go for the moon. You don't need to install your own server. You know, you can just get started by installing Minecraft on your phone and seeing how excited the kids get. Be open to, if a kid says, hey, can I, instead of, in California, we build missions around 4th grade. In 4th grade, they build a California mission. Instead of building your mission on sugar cubes, you can build it in Minecraft. And then, you know, the kids can just bring in their tablet devices or whatever they built it on, or do a screencast. But just being willing to allow kids to do that is a good point of entry. But again, if you're not familiar with it, it's hard to, and you don't understand it, it's hard to say, I want to do that. So you got to educate the educators.
You know, as you said that, I kind of harken back to a conversation I had with Danielle Feinberg from Pixar, and she was talking about how Pixar works, and it's such a wonderful company to work for, because you have this big idea, you know, creating a great movie, and then you've got all of these talents around you that pull together with a focus. Do you think, this is kind of out there, but do you think maybe that's where our PD should start going, is actually helping, you know, teachers build that plane as they fly, kind of?
Oh, there is not enough professional development in the world to get us where we want to be. And so, you know, we have to, as we're professionals, I expect my dentist to constantly be improving and updating his skills, and he can't sit around and wait for someone to bring it to him. How many PD days a day do we get as teachers? 3 is what I want to say, but I mean, if you had 10, you know, you got to cover how to do the grade book. What are the policies when kids get, you know, are out of dress code, and you know, you got to do training to do the state testing, and all of these things. There's things that have to be done. How do you have enough time to say, now we have to learn to be creative and to think outside of the box? That's a huge, you know, it's a huge leap to go from, you know, I have the curriculum given to me by the publisher to, we need to figure out what we can do with Minecraft.
I guess maybe I probably lost sight, but what I was thinking is maybe, you know, creating like almost a team-based approach to teaching that gets us, that taps into people's different potentials and talents. And I'm talking teachers, not just students. I guess that was my thought on that.
So my general thought is, we can't keep doing school and the school schedule the same way we've always done it. There's you know, an exponential curve of new things to learn, and there's just not enough time to do it. So if we don't structure into our school day something different, where teachers, it's structured into our day that we are learning new things, it's structured into our day that we're collaborating together, that we rely on each other. And, you know, when I started teaching, I was given the advice to just smile and nod and shut my door and just do whatever I want. Teacher across the hall told me that. I don't think that's really that possible anymore, but we need to get out of this focus of my class, my assignments, my students, and more we, us, our, you know, we pull together. And it's, I think a team mentality has to happen.
Yeah, I think we both wound up in the same place on that one. Tell me who, you've already talked about some of your influences from, you know, Lucas Gillespie and that sort of thing, but who inspires you, or what inspires you professionally? So
when I actually didn't want to be a teacher, I went out of my way not to. And I was offered a job, and I'm like, full-time versus part-time? That sounds fantastic. So when I have a degree in math, and I started teaching at a high school, and they gave me, you know, I'm the new guy, so they gave me the kids that are in the lowest of the lowest math classes. And I mean, I graduated from that high school, but I'm a bit of an overachiever. I mean, these kids can't multiply. I had no idea that there were kids even like that at high school that couldn't do basic math. And it was so eye-opening for me. And I remember one of the first things I did, they turned in their homework, and I like gave almost all of them a 0, because I'm like, they didn't follow directions. And I'm thinking, that'll teach them. You know, then they'll know that that's not what I wanted, and then, you know, they'll do better. But of course, most of them just like, whatever. And I realize that the things that motivate me don't motivate them at all. So I think my biggest influence has just been my students. And, you know, at the high school level, before they've even met me, before they've set one foot in my class, they hate me. You know, everyone hates the math teacher. And I have to overcome that. And so, you know, I've learned over the years that I need to approach students in a different way, to meet them where they're at, and to realize that a lot of what we do doesn't motivate all kids. And so my pivotal moment is when a kid comes up to me, he's like, Keeler, I did my homework. That's my grade. And I'm like, dude, you haven't done homework all year and you failed every class. You know, and he goes from being super excited to being completely dejected. And that's where I'm like, this doesn't work. If F's were motivating, video games would use them. So what I could have said to him was, okay, you are level 5. This gives you 10 points. You just need 30 more points to get to level 6. Yes, you're supposed to be level 20. Let's not look at that. Let's just get you to level 6. I bet you I could have gotten that kid to do work. And so I had taken a class I got my master's at Full Sail in the Educational Media Design and Technology program, which was excellent. And I had a class from Dr. Siegel, and we had to play Dungeons and Dragons and World of Warcraft. And at the beginning of this class, I cried. I'm like, I am not a gamer. I don't want to play games. I don't understand what this has to do with school. And I just thought it was just so dumb. And, you know, I had a talk with the instructor where he's trying to help me set up my character. And I'm just constantly like, I don't get it. Like, which one is the best? How do I know which one's the best character? And he just laughed at me, which in hindsight is funny because, of course, games are more balanced, that you can have different talents, and regardless of your talent, it's a strength, which is something we learn from games, right? Diversity is good. But I just put it in my mind that I was going to get something out of this class, and I went above and beyond to really take what I did in that class and apply it to my math class. And so that has probably been the most influential thing for me. Is I play World of Warcraft a lot. At least I did before I got into the doctoral program. But I played a lot, and every time I play, it gives me insights as to what this is dumb. I'm going out and I kill 10 pigs, and then I turn in my quest and I get to go, you know, kill 10 chickens. You know, it's like, why would I do this? Why am I going to sit here all day and play this video game for tasks that are really repetitive if you think about it? And so as I play the game and I think about what motivates me to do this, not the game itself, but the mechanics that are really motivating, the immediate feedback, the need to rely on the talents of others, that I don't find somebody who's skilled like I'm skilled. I find someone whose skills complement mine, that I always know where I stand and I'm making forward progress, that I can do short-term goal setting and I can achieve my goals and celebrate that. Those are things we can do in schools. And so it's not playing the game, but I can do short-term goal setting with kids and help them to feel like they've accomplished something. And so much great research, Carol Dweck and a lot of other people on the power of goal setting. So that's really what drives me, is how I can help kids. I mean, if you just change some of the vocabulary and some of the practices that we do in small ways, you know, we can really motivate kids to be excited to learn, I think. So
nice. All right, well, I'm gonna give you the Speed Geek questions.
Okay,
I use the Decide Now app, and you get 3 questions. They're meant to be quick and easy.
Okay.
So here goes number 1, and it is favorite app. What's your favorite app?
For the iPad, Paper 53.
Nice. So that's a nice drawing one.
Mm-hmm. I like to draw my own slides for my presentation.
Oh, I've seen someone else, Mark Drollinger, use Paper 51 for presentations. Nice. Makes them nice. Okay, so my second question is your first storage device. So floppy disk, USB.
So my dad is an engineer. We had a computer when nobody had a computer. I mean, I remember I would load DOS and go make a sandwich because it would take like 2 hours. So probably what size are these?
I have it.
I have one somewhere here on my nerd. Aha! I do.
Nice.
Not too many people can bust one of those out, can they?
No. So, okay, and then our last question is, oh, here we go. Perfect one for you. Minecraft, World of Warcraft, or what other game?
World of Warcraft's my game. Minecraft is the game that I promote for schools.
Great. I've got to get into it. I have an account with World of Warcraft, but time, money, I haven't been able to make that plunge
I'm
yet.
going to challenge you that it will make you a better teacher.
All right. That's good. Alice, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, you're an inspiration because of the stuff you do, the posts you put on Twitter and your blog, and keep up the great work. And I'll see you at ISTE, right?
I will be at ISTE, 6
right.
a.m. Coffee EDU every day. So
awesome. Great. I'll see you there.
Thanks.